Hey pretties, happy Friday. I have a special twofer Friday coffee chat for you today. Um, because out of yesterday's video, which I was talking about some of my favorite books, um, one of the things that I mentioned is that I cannot read fiction because I'm an HSP, which is a highly sensitive person. If you guys haven't heard of this before, I'm going to get a little bit deeper into it today because I had a lot of people DM me and say, oh my gosh, I totally relate with that. I've never heard of it, but I get what you're talking about. And a few other people who have read about being an HSP and do understand this. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today, but I'm also going to talk about my eyelash extension experience, which is something else I've been asked about a lot. I have an interesting story about it. And my eyes are a little swollen today because I got my fill done yesterday, but I'll have to fill you in on that. Anyway, I hope your Friday is off to a good start. Mine is, I got up early. Thank you, dogs. Thank you for barking and waking me up early. So I got the bills paid already. I feel like I'm totally kicking butt. I've got a busy Friday planned, so it feels good to get up a little bit early, get some stuff done that I hadn't expected to get done. So I hope you guys are having an awesome Friday too. But yeah, so yesterday I told you about some of my favorite books, and thank you guys for sharing yours with me. I'm looking forward to diving into some of those. And also, thanks for the hair recommendations. My hair's all straight and smooth today. Yesterday it was really curly and frizzy. And I talked to you about my mixed textures in my hair, like I have some straight pieces and curly pieces, and you gave me some good product recommendations that I can't wait to try too. So back to HSP. So this is something that I've had my entire life. HSP is being a highly sensitive person. I first noticed it when I was a kid. And I would watch things like I would go to a friend's house for a sleepover and we would watch a scary movie or something disturbing that I didn't normally watch. And I would just like feel so anxious and like I just wanted to be home. I wanted to be home from the sleepover because it affected me so deeply. And this kind of has, gone on my entire life where I don't really watch scary movies or anything disturbing. I hate the news. I try to protect myself from that kind of content and media. And I've had so many people through the years say, I'll tell them I can't watch movies like that, or, I don't want to read the news, or I don't want to watch the news. And they're like, Allison, that's not normal. And then I would just feel bad and feel weird. And I realized it's not normal. Only 15 to 20% of the population are HSPs. So the way that I found out about this is actually I was talking to my hairstylist one day, and we were talking about going to musicals. And she said, well, when I go to musicals, people think I'm crazy because I'm sitting there sobbing my eyes out in the audience. And she's like, and then they're not even sad. It's musicals like Wicked, where there's nothing sad going on, but I'm just crying because I'm so touched by the music. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm the same way. When I went to New York for a business trip this spring, I went to see some musicals by myself, because I could sit there in the audience and be moved to tears and I didn't have to feel like I was crazy. And she said, oh, well then you really need to read about HSP. There's a book out there by Elaine Aron where she goes into this, how some people are just really highly sensitive. And one of the signals is if you're really moved by music. So I said, I'm gonna go home and look that up. So I came home, and because I am an Enneagram Type 5 investigator, the first thing I did was Google this to see what it was all about. And I found this article, which I'm going to go through real quickly with you today. It's on highlysensitiverefuge.com, and it's 21 signs that you're a highly sensitive person. And I identified with most of these, but not all of them. So I'm going to just quickly run through them. So the first one is you absolutely abhor violence and cruelty of any kind. Yes, yes, yes. That is so me. Everyone hates violence and cruelty, but for highly sensitive people, seeing or hearing about it can be extremely unsettling. You might be an HSP if you can't watch scary, gory, or violent movies without getting upset or even feeling physically ill. Similarly, you may not be able to stomach news stories about animal cruelty or similar brutal acts. Yes, this 110% sums me up. As a matter of fact, a few weeks ago, I was having a conversation with an acquaintance, and I love football. I'm really looking forward to football season. And I'm a Steelers fan, and I was saying about how over the past couple years, I've been having more and more trouble watching football because it seems like it's getting more violent. And, there was an incident last season with Ryan Shazier on the Steelers where he had a really horrific injury. And I fear that now every time I watch football games. And this person looked at me like I had 3 heads. Seriously, they were like, what are you talking about? So, but this kind of sums it up. I still love football. I still plan to watch, but I just have to kind of have some boundaries around that. And the violence does affect me a little bit more than it does some other people. The second thing on this list is also very true for me and might be for you too. You're frequently emotionally exhausted from absorbing other people's feelings. Although highly sensitive people are not necessarily empaths, HSPs tend to absorb other people's emotions almost like an empath would. It's not unusual for an HSP to walk into a room and immediately sense the moods of the people in it. That's me. That's because highly sensitive people are very aware of subtleties, including facial expressions, body language, and tone of voice that others may miss. Pair this with the sensitive person's naturally high levels of empathy, and it's no wonder that HSPs feel emotions that are not their own. As a result, highly sensitive people tend to suffer from frequent emotional exhaustion. And I mentioned in one of my rut videos earlier this week that one of the things I have to do sometimes is really just avoid overly negative people or situations. And I think this is why, because I do absorb a lot of that emotion. And you know, I have to protect myself and have boundaries around that. So yeah, I definitely absorb people's emotions around me. Like if my kids are going through something rough, and I know most moms are this way, but I just like really just take it to heart and feel that very heavily for them. So, okay, the next one is time pressure really rattles you. So this is referring to things like when you're taking a timed quiz in school, or if you have too many things on your to-do list and not enough time to do them, you might feel very stressed out. Yes, I definitely do that. I'm not so much timed activities. That doesn't bother me as much, but yeah, having way too many things on my to-do list completely stresses me out and overwhelms me. And sometimes I'll go to my husband and say, Craig, my gosh, I have all these things on my list. I don't know what to do. He's like, it's okay, honey, just calm down, do them one at a time. Like he can make a list a mile long and it doesn't bother him one bit. He just goes through it and checks it off. But for me, making a list a mile long just gives me massive anxiety. All right, so number 4 is you withdraw often. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, you need plenty of downtime alone. You find yourself withdrawing to a quiet, darkened room. And that's another definite sign for me. I am an introvert, so I do tend to withdraw more, but I do like my downtime at the end of the day. Number 5 is you're jumpy. When someone sneaks up on you, you jump like a frightened cat. Many HSPs have a high startle reflex. Even in non-threatening situations, their nervous systems are dialed up. That's not one I relate with, but I'm sure there are many people who do. You think deeply. Oh, yes. The cornerstone of being an HSP is you process information deeply. This means you do plenty of reflecting on your experiences, more so than other people. Unfortunately, this also means you're prone to negative overthinking. Sometimes you obsessively play events over and over in your mind or spiral into anxious thoughts. All right, how many of us can relate with waking up in the middle of the night and you just have these thoughts going on like throughout the day, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that, or I said that, or, you know, things like that. I think my sister's an HSP too, and we can both totally relate to this one. So the next one is you're a seeker. HSPs seek answers to the big questions in life. They ask why things are the way they are and their role in all of it. If you're a highly sensitive person, you may have always wondered why other people aren't as captivated by the mysteries of human nature in the universe as you are. Yes, I definitely relate with this one too. Again, Enneagram type 5 plus HSP equals always seeking. So the next one is sudden loud noises startle you. Again, that's like a loud motorcycle suddenly roaring by your window can really shake you up. Number 9, your clothing matters. So some people that are HSPs also have sensitivity to scratchy fabrics, restrictive clothing like pants, tight waistbands, pantyhose, tight bras. Non-HSPs might dislike these things too, but an HSP will carefully select their wardrobe to avoid them. I don't have this as much, but I can totally understand it. Number 10 is your pain tolerance is less. Many HSPs are more sensitive to pain of all kinds, headaches, body aches, injuries, etc., than non-HSPs. Again, I don't really relate to this one. I have had endometriosis since I was 14 years old, which has caused excruciating pain throughout my life. So I feel like my pain tolerance is pretty high, and I've had many doctors tell me that it is. So that one's kind of interesting. 11 is your inner world is alive and present. Again, due to your deep processing, you have a rich inner world. As a child, you may have had several imaginary friends, enjoyed fantasy-based play. You were prone to daydreaming. As an adult, you may have vividly realistic dreams. Yes, yes, yes. All right, change is extremely upsetting. HSPs take comfort in routines because familiar is far less stimulating than something brand new. Big changes, both positive and negative, can really throw off an HSP. Number 13 is sometimes your environment is your enemy. Similarly, moving to a new home or traveling, even if it's for a fun vacation, can be quite difficult because your senses get bombarded with so much new stimuli. I completely agree with that one. 14 is you're misunderstood. High sensitivity is often mislabeled. You may have been called shy. Yes, I've been called shy a lot. Or anxious, and perhaps it was implied that something was wrong with you. Yeah, that's been the message that I've gotten my entire life. Like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? Why can't you watch this? I remember walking out of a movie that I was watching. It was at home, but walking out of the room because there was some violent scene going on and being judged for that later after the fact. And feeling really kind of crappy about it and thinking, gosh, you know, there must really be something wrong with me. But just know as you get older, you start to see that you need boundaries around things and people's opinions don't matter as much to you anymore, which is awesome. And it says that similarly, many HSPs are labeled as introverts because introverts and HSPs share many of the same characteristics, such as needing downtime. However, 30% of HSPs are actually extroverts. Number 15, you get hangry easily. Yes. HSPs tend to be sensitive to changes in blood sugar levels, so they may get quite hangry, hungry plus angry. If they haven't eaten in a while, yeah, just ask my family about that one. 16, who needs stimulants? When your nervous system is already ratcheted up to the highest levels, some HSPs are sensitive to caffeine and need very little of it to feel its buzz. Yes, similarly, some HSPs are also sensitive to alcohol's effects. I drink a lot of caffeine, and I would say that this is true when I cut back, but I think I build up a tolerance level. 17, conflict is your poison. When there's tension or disagreement in your close relationships, you feel it deeply. Many HSPs even report feeling physically ill during conflict. As a result, some highly sensitive people become conflict avoidant, doing or saying almost anything to keep the other person happy. It's because conflict hurts so much. I would say that when I was younger, this one was definitely true, but as I've gotten older, I've learned how to more effectively engage in conflict and do it in a way that doesn't upset me as much, but also still make sure that I honor what's going on inside of me. So I think that's something that you can definitely get better at and learn to navigate a little better. 18, oh, this is so true. Criticism is a dagger. Words really matter to HSPs. Positive words can make them soar, but harsh words will send them crashing to the ground. Criticism can feel like a dagger, and negativity is toxic to the highly sensitive person's finely tuned system. This is so true, and it is so hard because I've been putting myself out there via my blog and social media for 6 years, and I think this is one of the hardest things to deal with. And I've developed a thicker skin about it and recover more quickly from it, but criticism still really deeply affects me. 19 is you're conscientious. At work and in school, you try hard not to make mistakes. Of course, this doesn't mean you're perfect. Nobody is, but you're always giving things your best effort. That's true. And I think that's a part of not wanting the criticism. So you try not to make mistakes so you don't get criticized, right? 20 is you're deeply moved by beauty. Fine meals, rich scents, beautiful artwork, stirring melodies have a deep impact on you. You may find that music or certain sounds put you in a near trance-like state, or the way the wind catches the leaves in the autumn sunlight leaves you awestruck. You don't understand how other people aren't as moved by beauty as you are. Yes, this goes back to the hearing beautiful music and that making me get emotional. Definitely artwork can do that too, but yeah, I definitely relate with that. And number 21 is you're perceptive. Because you notice things that others miss, you're seen as very perceptive and insightful. Even as a child, you may have been wise beyond your years. The world relies on highly sensitive people like you to make it a more compassionate, understanding place to be. So while being an HSP definitely has its downsides, there are tons of great things about it. If you're just learning about this, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are and your feelings, and feel free to leave a comment or send me a DM about it. And again, I want to give credit where credit's due. I read these 21 signs on highlysensitiverefuge.com, and I can post a link to that if you guys want to read through them too. And the book that I recommend for this, if you relate to it, is The Highly Sensitive Person by Elaine Aron. All right, so now to the eyelashes. Okay, so I've had a lot of people ask me through the past year about my eyelash extensions, what my experience has been, and honestly, it's been up and down and all over the place. I started getting extensions about 1.5 years ago. I found a Groupon for them naturally. I mean, that's how all good things start, right? And I went and got my first set. And they were great. I loved them. The one thing I didn't love is it takes about 1.5 hours. So you have to lay still for 1.5 hours, which is really hard because I like to be on the go. but I loved the look of them and the fact that I had to wear less makeup, which is awesome. So after that set, I got a few refills, and then I just didn't keep up with it. So I let them fall by the wayside for a little while. And then I went back and got another full set again and did the whole thing, started getting fills on a regular basis, then slacked off and went back again. So this was over the course of a year. Well, the third time I went back for my full set, I had a really bad allergic reaction in about 2 to 3 days after I got the lashes done, where I woke up in the morning, my eyes were almost swollen shut. They were itching like crazy, super irritated. My eyelids were really dry, and I could not wait to get them off. So I did everything in my power to wash them off and get rid of them, and swore that I was never going to do it again. So a couple months after that, I was talking to my niece about it, and I told her my experience and said, oh, I just really miss my eyelash extensions, but I had this terrible allergic reaction, and I don't know why. I'd been wearing them for like a year, and then this happened. She's like, oh my gosh, the same exact thing happened to me. And it'd been about a year into it, and I just started getting allergic to them. So she stopped doing them too. And I talked to a couple other people that said the same thing happened to them. So it's kind of crazy. So the next time I went in and talked to my lash lady about it, I decided to give them one more try. And she said, well, we have sensitive glue, so let's try this time and see if it works for you. So we did. We tried the sensitive glue. This was this summer, actually. And a couple of days later, same thing happens. It only happens when I get a full set, though. It doesn't happen when I get fills, and I think it's because they're using more of the glue. But I went back in for my refill, told her what was happening, and she said, well, I'm going to tell you what. I have a lady just like you, and she's like, I love my extensions. They're totally worth it. I just take Benadryl the first few days to get through it. So that's what I've been doing. When I get a full set, I take Benadryl the first few days to get over the hump. The refills don't really bother me as much. It's just when I get full set. So I try to keep up with my fills and not have to get a full set every time. But yeah, it's kind of like that suffer for beauty thing. And I love them though. They make me feel like I have makeup on all day long. I like it because I can go to work out and I see myself in the mirror on the treadmill. I'm like, oh, I like my lashes. They look good. So yeah, I mean, I love everything about them. They are a little bit expensive, but like I said, I save money on makeup. I'm a pretty low maintenance person. I don't do a lot as far as upkeep is concerned. I do get my nails done, but not very often. And I don't spend a lot of money on clothes. So I feel like they're one of these little indulgences that make me feel really good and I can justify totally. But if you've never gotten them before, the process is that they actually attach an individual extension to every single one of your eyelashes. So that's why it does take so long when you get your first set, but the refills, they just go back through and fill them in. I get fills about every 2 to 3 weeks. It depends on a lot of factors like the lash growth cycle, how many are falling out, how careful I am with my lashes. You cannot get them wet for the first 48 hours. That if you keep them nice and dry, it extends the life of them. So I just wash my face with a washcloth, and then I take a Q-tip and take off my eye makeup very carefully with that. But you don't have to wear mascara when you have them. You can get really natural looking ones, which is what I usually do, or you can get the big fanned out ones, which are fun for like a special event, if you're going to a wedding or have something coming up. And I have some friends that wear the really dramatic ones for every day too, which I mean, it's to each his own, but I love mine. And if I'm willing to go through the eye swelling, which my eyes are a little bit swollen today just from my refill, and the Benadryl, it's totally worth it to me. So if you guys are thinking about trying it out, I'd like to hear from you about that too. And tell me your experience with it, if you tolerate them well, or if you've had some allergies to them as well. So anyway, that's all I got for today. I'm looking forward to diving into some new topics next week. So if there's something that you want to discuss, style related, we haven't talked a lot about style in these coffee chats, but I would love to dig into some of those topics. And I'm probably not the best person to talk about style when I'm in my workout clothes every morning. This is my interim outfit. So when I wake up in the morning, I take off my PJs, put on a workout outfit, because 3 days of the week I actually do go to Orange Theory. And then sometimes I walk the dogs too, which I haven't done very good at lately because Craig's been out of town, and I need a buddy to help me walk the dogs because our husky is so strong now. She's 10 months old and she thinks I'm a sled. So she tries to pull me down the street. So we're still working on containing her energy. And I can't walk both dogs by myself. It's terrible. But yeah, so after I work out or walk the dogs, then I usually get my shower and get dressed in real clothes. So we can talk about anything style related, anything beauty related, whatever you want to talk about. One of the other things that I get asked a lot about is my hormone pellets and hormone therapy. I do the bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I've been doing that for 3 years now. So I'm probably going to do a coffee chat about that one of these days too, because it's been really, really good for me. So anyway, I hope you guys have an awesome weekend, and please continue the conversation, and definitely leave me some comments. I would love to hear from you. I will see you guys next week. Have an awesome weekend. Bye.